it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Well, welcome back, listeners, to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki podcast. I'm very excited, once again, to share somebody with you that gets it. This is a person who I've watched in the dealerships really rise to many occasions, experience a lot of challenges as she really built in my opinion, okay, this might be a little much, but it is literally the world's best BDC. And I mean that because I've seen a lot of people struggle with building BDCs. And not to say that she didn't have any challenges, but this department is the heart of the dealership. And it wasn't always an easy come up. I'm going to ask Jessica, my guest today, to share some of her experiences in developing the world's greatest BDC. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Jen. How are you?
Thank you. Good.
So
no.
Good. Oh man, I don't know about the world's best, BDC, but I definitely have a lot of fun, going into BDCs and making a great team. I have a lot of fun doing this.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think a lot of people would say this is probably one of the hardest jobs in the dealership is to run a team, and to run a team that a lot of times is split from the sales people, is split from the desk. And these are the people that hold a lot of the answers to the questions that customers have, and the customers want it right now. And so getting these two teams to work together in a way that's harmonious, that's seamless, that's effortless. I mean, look, it just doesn't happen. And you're in a big store. How many new cars do you guys sell? Give me a little perspective of the store. What's it look like?
Right now we sell about 300 new cars, almost 100 to 150 used. We're definitely going to stay consistent and being like a 400 to our goal is to be a 500, 550 car store for sure. 450 is going to be maintainable. And now our goal is to keep the race to the 500 for city gear.
Yeah. Definitely. Which, by the way, you guys have hit.
Yes, we have. We definitely have hit 20 something cars. I'm proud to say that my BDC team has done 50% of the business. That's always my goal. Even beginning in the industry when I came in, I was looking to see how do I get a 50%? And then how do I overachieve 50% of the business? And it's definitely digging, hunting. I love, going into the CRM and just looking for information on how can I make this customer's experience better. A little bit about me and where I come from. I'm from New York. I started the automotive industry at 18, just as a service cashier rep and a front desk rep. My cousins had brought me in. They worked in detail, and I just love the vibes. I love the luxury vibes in there. And I went to school for business for a little bit, for 2 years. I took a break, and for the first time, I walked back into a dealership looking for a job, and they were like, "Hey, have you ever heard of BDC?" And I'm like, "What's BDC?" Right? They're like, it's business development. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? And they're like, you call people and bring them in. And I'm like, sounds like something I can do. All right, sure. And, this was 2005.
Okay.
We didn't even have computers, and then finally they're printing stuff for me and I'm asking questions. I'm like, oh, this customer wants to know the car's here. And they're like, yeah, sure.
Just get them in.
Yeah, I'm like, just get them in. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. So I started digging for information. I went to NADA and tried to train myself a little bit on how to talk to people, what to ask, questions. And it just kind of just stuck. I liked it. One day a GM came in yelling, what are we doing with all these leads? I'm spending all this money. And you guys ain't bringing nobody. And I'm like, hey, a little shy girl here trying to answer a couple questions. And I'm like, hey, well, did you know, out of these 200, these 50 are not even good. I was like, these people I made connections with, but they're not local to us. I'm trying to figure out what can I get them into. And I was like, and these people came in and they here are the salespeople that bought the cars. And they were like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, I'm just Jessica. And he's like, all right, well, get me a team. And I'm like, okay. Well, this is new for me. I'm like, get you a team.
Get me a team. I want to hire some people.
I'm like, I've never even interviewed people before. Like, what am I doing here? But I started talking to my friends, and they're like, I know nothing about cars. And I'm like, you don't need to know nothing about cars. You're good at talking with people.
There
Everybody
you go.
she worked at a supermarket, and I was like, everybody loves you. I was like, they always come to your line because you're the fastest,
Uh-huh.
you're the most
Uh-huh.
efficient. You always
Is he
ask how
nice?
their day is going, and
Uh-huh.
that's how I started building a team. I'll never forget my first team. It was, we were together for a good 3, 4, 5 years, and I think that seeing them grow,
Mm.
and we're like 20 years later now, and they're all in management positions. I have one,
Uh-huh.
their family even bought a dealership. So that
Okay.
I find so much, pride. I get so,
Joy.
like, it gives me
Mhm.
good joy. Yeah. A good feeling
Yeah.
inside to see them have grown so much.
Yeah.
And I moved out of New York, came to Florida. They moved me over here
Okay.
to help a dealer out, and I
Uh-huh.
was there. I made it very successful. I always
Uh-huh.
find like I increase business by like 120, 140%
Mhm.
from what it was. And City Kia, I came to City Kia because COVID happened, and I had no job at the time. I was like, listen, they weren't looking for a management position, but I was like, I'll be a BDC agent. I have no problem.
Uh-huh.
I'll start from the beginning. I know I could do it. They had the biggest commission plan I've seen for a BDC agent, which I thought was like, wow, like, who is this guy that's giving this much money for these BDC agents? And just for like the spiffs, the incentives. And I was like, okay, I'm going in. I'm going to do this.
Mm.
In 2 weeks, I seen like the struggles.
Mm.
I was like, wow, they need someone to really lead them, in what they changing templates. Like, I hate templates and workflows, but I like when I look at my templates and workflows, it's like, what make it more you have to make it as humanized as possible. You don't want
Agree.
to know that it's not a human.
Let me
Short.
stop you for a second here, just because and I think that I love to hear this come up in this story because I think it's so relatable, and it's a great reminder of if you have the fight in you and um, you have the desire, for success. It's all
Mhm.
right here in the car business. There's no better business that I love than this one because the opportunity is right around the corner. And if you want to seize there's plenty of opportunity for people. Well, you were presented the opportunity. You worked for it. You
Yes.
learned the job. You brung people up. You moved out of state. And I just want to pause on this moment here for a moment because a lot of times we say if you just work hard, you'll be successful in this world. And I agree with that. You don't
Yeah.
always have to have the schooling, the education. You don't have to know even process, workflow. You can figure all that shit out.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
but you have to want to be successful and you want to, uncover problems and find solutions. But taking us to this point here, and you say I walked into this dealership and the GM is offering pay plans like I never seen before. Now look, this is the first start of a change of
Mhm.
behavior that most people would say. Now I always say this and I'm behind it, and I'll tell you why, because I see the success of what you're about to hopefully share with us. But it's for me, the BDC is the heart of the company. Without them, you don't have the first impressions. You don't have the ability to form connections with people, relationships with people, sell the value of the store. You got to get the people here. They're sight unseen. They're arm's lengthing you. They don't even like car dealers. They don't like car salespeople. They don't even like you. You know, and they just want take your pricing, your trade values, that they want. And it's a very difficult job to win people over and get them in. And so a lot of times people are busting ass at a very low paying job and having to really be the brand ambassador of this huge organization. So when you say, I walked into this big pay plan, could you just help me understand what happened here? How did your GM get to this point? Why did it matter? Why was it such, what does that even look like? What's a big pay plan?
Well, you know what? It's you have to definitely earn every single penny. It's you don't get anything up front. There's no hourly. It's just a draw, of course, because they have to pay us weekly,
Mm-hmm,
but we pay
mm-hmm,
it back. And then
mm-hmm.
the incentive of the sale. First is the show. They're
Uh-huh.
give great top money for the show. And then the sale, you get almost, it's like $105 for every person that comes in and buys a car. And
Okay.
then the spits, the incentives,
Mhm.
working as a team is what made this happen. And something I
Mm.
always loved, Jen, when I got to meet you and get into the Jennifer Suzuki program, was how you went by the customer's experience. And then when we started talking about bridging the gap between sales and
Mhm.
service and just the BDC,
Mhm.
it was major.
Mm.
We so here at City Q, we came up with this the communication through whether you use Slack or WhatsApp, whatever chat you want to use. We have all these teams, and it's it's in finance, great, managers, okay, but the sales team, and
Okay.
having BDC involved there. So as we're on the phone and we need information, we'll ask our sales team, that's on the floor that has all this product knowledge, like, and just they will communicate right back with us. It's instantly. We're working
Mhm.
together. And then with the notes, the customer's note informations that
Mhm.
they will put in there, it
Mhm.
took time. It took a lot of time to
Okay.
get the process in move, but we've come such a long way because now it's 3 years later that I've been here in City Kia,
Mhm.
and it went from like there's no notes. I don't know what to say to this customer to bring them back. I don't know what happened while they was here, and now you're seeing the salespeople putting some detail information in there of
Mhm.
what we
To
might
close
have
out their
missed.
visit.
Yeah, when they close out the visit, and they're
Okay.
communicating back and forth with BDC. We're not just
So you're on
BDC.
an internal chat now, and the salespeople are connected to the BDC, and they're sending messages to each other.
Yeah, they're sending messages to each other. They're like, "Hey, I need help with this customer bringing this back,"
Mhm.
or we
Mhm.
we connect them to them like, "Hey, we have this customer coming in. They'll be
Mhm.
here in an hour. Where they're
Mhm.
coming with their kids.
Mhm.
They maybe they want to see if they could get into service,
Mhm.
and I want I want them to hunt. Look in the
Mhm.
CRM. I'm like, are
You're
we
giving
well?
them the ammo.
Yes, I'm like, I like to tell them like slow down the process with the appointment, explain to the customer what's about to happen. So,
Mhm.
and then the salesperson, prepare your salesperson. The meet and greet is going to go smoothly. And then after the visit, you put in your notes and stuff, or we get that sale, great. But
Mhm.
it's been such a good experience to see it move from no communication. Like
Uh-huh.
BDC doesn't even know what happened with their customer because
Right,
there's
because this is
nothing there.
BDC's biggest complaint. "I don't You want me to call these people, bring them back? I'm gonna get paid on this appointment. Of course I wanna bring them. I don't even know. Did you guys drive a car? Did they bounce because of payment? Did they switch cars? Why did they leave? Are they mad? Are they happy? That's what we're all trying to struggle with, is bridging that gap here of these communications. Let me take you back a little bit here, and because you mentioned the pay plan, and that really was the start of what ignited, the progress that has been made. And I
Mhm.
have to believe that smart people, car people, are always going to be mindful of their pay plan, and they're going to work their pay plan. So one
Yes.
thing that you said that we don't hear a lot is that there was a team section of the pay plan that had to do with sales and had to do with BDC. Could it include the desk? Not sure. Could you tell me more about what that looks like? Because I think we have to modernize our pay plans to achieve the results that we're looking for. And a lot of times, pay plans don't change, and sometimes people say, "Why?" I know what they were thinking when they heard you say 105 for a car deal. They were like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah.
because I'd like to hear more about how this was structured, because a lot of people would say, "Why would we pay 105 on a car deal? You did nothing for that. You set the appointment." But I think there actually is more to this, and it's probably tied to some of this team bonus. But tell me about that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely when the GM puts a team spiff for the sales team. So we sell 17 units today.
Okay.
Or if we're gonna give $200 to the salespeople. If my BDC agent has an appointment, I want to reward them too. So I'm giving them 50% of that. I'm like, hey, if you have an appointment, I'm gonna give
Mhm.
you an addition. If we get to 17 as a
Mm,
team, you're gonna
okay.
get an additional $100 for this. So that $105 that you throw in just became 200. So
Oh,
now
per
it's like
deal?
per deal,
A lot.
per
Okay.
deal.
Okay.
You know what?
And it's not the whole is it everybody in your department gets paid on all of the 17 of those deals, or is it the
No,
person that set the appointment?
this person that set the appointment.
Understood.
Yep. So they have the appointment now. They get that. They're like, okay, well, I have 3 appointments today. I'm gonna try to set 3 more. Hopefully, we can get to 17, and that
Okay.
just doubles my paycheck.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, and they're
people
more
love
inclined
to work.
to help the salespeople out,
Exactly. Yeah,
and
definitely.
even bringing people back because that's lower hanging fruit,
Exactly. So
which
it's not
encourages the
only about.
salespeople to close out the deal, put the notes in the system, trying to connect the dots.
So it's
Sorry.
not only about the show, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's about the sale also, the
Mhm.
experience. So if you put everything together, you're gonna have a deal in and out within an hour or two.
Oh,
Between
okay.
the sales team
Oh,
and the BDC agent, and then
okay.
if you involve service as well,
Mm,
I mean, we got some stuff there, and
spicy.
I'm going to talk about like service to sales too.
Okay.
A little bit of that happened within this year. It's still new. Our
Wait, before you
Okay,
unleash this, okay? I feel
okay,
like that's
okay.
chapter 2. And we got to close this chapter 1 because I know
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of questions here, and I just want to close out this section because, Jessica, and thanks for being so open about this. It's, it is going to be surprising to people to hear some of the things that you've already said. And I just want to highlight them. Team bonuses. When they do a sales spiff for the sales team, they're saying, "Yo, we got to do something for the same for the BDC." So everybody's continuing to work together. I just want to emphasize the group chat. So I'm guessing that even in your past days, because it's still an issue in most stores that I go into, is that the BDC and the sales team are fighting against each other. Was it like that for you
In the
when you first
beginning.
started?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in
Because
the
when they look at the
beginning,
BDC, what do they say about the BDC
in
in
the
the past?
beginning, I mean, it was BDC. Like it's like, customers will come in and they're like, "Oh, I have an appointment with
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa," and then they're like, "Who's oh yeah, Vanessa just works upstairs."
Yeah. She didn't sell cars. I can help you. What are you guys looking for?
Yeah,
And
they're
then start
starting
over.
all
It was a
over from
whole
this
reset.
a whole reset.
Mm-hmm.
That we change that
Mm-hmm.
environment. We definitely change that by communicating with our sales team,
Okay.
assigning our appointments,
Mm-hmm.
preparing them with switch cars already,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
information we got during the call.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, I'm still a little bit of old school, and I still do believe in get them in if you can
Of
without
course.
all asking all the questions and prepare.
Mhm.
If they do want to come in, hey, set the appointment, have them come
Yeah,
in.
lay down, let's go.
But if you need to prepare everything, you're most
Mm,
likely going to get the sale. And that's
mm,
that's what I like about bridging the gap and having that communication open, and not just waiting around for questions to be answered when you don't know it. Having that person that you can go to.
how did you get respect? Let me tell you, for the people that are listening, now I've seen the store for many, many, many years. The level of respect that's intact between the BDC and the sales managers, how is tight. It's tight. I mean, they communicate. Some people that will be on that desk will listen to this and they'll be like, "No, Jen." But the way that I see it is, I feel that the BDC runs runs the whole dealership. I literally feel that way. I feel like the BDC has weight, command, and respect. What do you think?
I mean, they absolutely should in every dealership, because we are
Mhm.
the heart of the dealership. We have tons of customers opportunities in our hands that we deal with. We're the first person they talk to,
Yeah.
and we know we have the info. We know that these people want to come in, they want to
How'd
buy
you
a
get them
car.
to realize that? Did you run them through the department? Did the managers start to? I mean, how do you gain manager desk respect and contribute to communicating in a timely manner? How do you get there?
It definitely wasn't easy, because you really have to. So one difference, and not all desk managers pencil or desk, and it's
Mhm,
something I learned to do. And then
mhm.
I learned to not only do that, but like help the desk hold their gross as well.
Okay.
And I think that's where I earned a lot of the respect of the desk managers, that I wasn't just like, okay,
Mhm.
offer a discount, okay, rush to the bottom. I didn't rush to the bottom.
Love this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's where we earn that, I always explain to them, hey, at the end of the day, we have to do an aggressive release because we have to be competitive. We have to be number one, but once you get the customer here, switch them into another car. Now everything I spoke about with the customer is different. So now this is the way you can be able to gross some more money on that vehicle. If for some reason I didn't mention our city care package, now your salesperson needs to sell it, help to help earn that gross on that deal. And that's how I think I got the respect from the desk managers, because a lot of, maybe, that I know of, BDC managers, but they try not to either pencil, or they'll go to the desk to get a pencil. Exactly. And then they'll lose that customer because, of course, they're not going to rush to the bottom. They don't. And my best thing is try to get them here without giving all that information. But if you need to, the information's there. It's public. I'm not going to hide from it, shy from it. I'm going to give you absolutely what I can do best for you up front and explain the experience here and how I'm just trying to help them. It's that helping vibes that I like to give, like I want to share with the customer, how we got to this price. And, or, especially a lot of people may have questions like, oh, somebody got a better price than me. You have to explain the situation. Not everyone's the same. Now,
the why.
The why, how we got here. And sometimes customers really appreciate that. They really start to understand.
I think you might have been ahead of the curve on that one, but I think now more than ever, that's 2024 strategies, 2024 vibes. Yeah. People say that this is the thing that gets them to buy, is they liked their relationship with the team, whether that's BDC or that's a salesperson, or they like the relationship. And when you're able to collect data from them, that customer remotely, and then be able to translate it very quickly to the person that's going to help them, including the desk, and there's a nice transition, and that customer starts to feel like everybody's on the same team. That is what changed, and in the buying process, and also in the relationships and the communications with people. At the same time, it was tied to the pay plan. At the same time, it's having an instant communication that everybody's using. It's having an understood process. But I think that you guys are part of the team. So in your sales manager meetings, I'm curious, are you present in sales manager meetings?
Every single one. Yeah.
Are you present, or is anyone in your BDC team present in the sales meetings?
Yes. On Saturdays, yes. There's two. I feel like sometimes I should definitely be more involved in Mondays, but on Mondays I get really busy. But even I tell my agents when there's no notes, they're like, man, I don't know what happened with this customer. It's always the same salesperson. And I'm like, well, we need to go down there and let them know. It's not only their money, it's ours too. My team is very, I make them very focused on the spiffs and making that money. And I tell them, like, hey, when I assign something to someone, I expect you to be ready up front, have a switch car ready, be prepared for that customer. Okay. If you're going to go take another customer and not let us know, so that we can make sure that customer's experience still becomes a good one with the next person, that really upsets me. So it's a key is communication, and then consistently just talking to your team in reference to what's going on.
What's working, what's not working.
Yes, what's working, what's not working.
You have a big voice in these meetings.
Absolutely. I always like to go back into the process, and I have a checklist, and I consistently want to keep checking this. I'm like, all right, did we send the email? Did we text? Did we call? Did we offer an alternative vehicle? I'm like, are they our previous customer of ours?
Yeah.
That loyalty key card, so these
I feel like you're teaching my classes.
Oh, well,
you should be teaching my classes.
It's been a couple years now. I'll never forget, when back in 2005 and 2006, like I heard of you when you first did your YouTube videos, and then you're really scared, like probably the whole industry with, oh my God, we got to get in videos now, and my whole department will create these videos, and I have a bunch of them too, like the introduction video, like, hey, and I know it's still a thing, for some people, and I always like to say, what works. Like, you have to try different things,
Yeah, you got to challenge yourself to think
Yeah.
about a better sales process. I mean, look, you guys incorporated video. You're leveraging AI like a beast, better
Oh,
than
I
most
love it.
people. Yeah. I mean, you're doing the internal communications. You're doing the sales meetings. I mean, you've got the team bonus. You got a lot of stuff that you're stacking to be very, very progressive. And look, I believe this store is number two in the country.
Right now, yeah, yes,
Number
absolutely.
two in the country. And let me tell you, when I first met you guys pre-COVID, you weren't even on the map. To become number two is it takes a team. And I think this is important for the listeners to recognize that you're talking to a champion right here. This is a champion who never wavered from the things that it was going to take in order to build a championship team. In a lot of ways, I see you as the glue to really champion process. She says, hey, if something's a breakdown, I'm down there in that meeting, I'm calling it out. And there's no shying away from that. It's their money, it's my money,
Yes.
and you're fighting the fight for your team. And look, you've continued to challenge the team with like video was a great example, just doing things a little bit, leveraging maybe ChatGPT even in some of their
I
questions.
still have a couple reps that are not into this AI. They're like, oh
Okay.
no. They're like, no,
It
no. And
takes
I'm like,
time.
why not? I'm like, there's so much suggestions in there. I love
I
it.
know.
I'll never forget when you text me. I'm like, you're like, girl, you keep using those chat GBTs on me. And I'm like, well, I just started using it. It was fun.
I got a trained eye. I could sniff it out now. But so look, you guys are like optimum level. How many people are in your department right now?
We started with 4 or 5. I'm now up to 11 people.
Okay, 11. Now, okay, she's optimum level. They're working incoming sales calls. They're working internet leads. She says she's a hunter. She loves looking in the CRM and finding, new opportunities. And suddenly, chapter 2, sorry I had to hold you back on this one, unleash it for us. You recognize, there's a big opportunity in the service department. How does this thing unfold for you? And I'm imagining it helps you get to a next level. And maybe you have to build more reps and get them specialized, or do you teach the whole team to be able to do service and sales? How does this work for you?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, so like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I saw the opportunity there, and every time I interviewed somebody, I would always talk about like the equity minding tools and how there's so much opportunity there to reach out to these people. And I even told, I would never forget, the interview this a couple months ago, I got this guy and Robert.
I love Robert.
And I told him, I was like, listen, I wish somebody would take these service calls and ask them what they were driving and just have, there's opportunity there. And he did it. He listened and he did it. And you can hear it in his calls. If he sees somebody calling for service, he would ask them, hey, by the way, what are you bringing in? And just,
what's going on with your car?
Yeah, like, what time
He's
you
a
coming by the
fisherman.
service? What do you drive? What's going on with the car? And he would just get them talking a little bit, just a little bit, and he won't put too much pressure on it.
It's just there's something there.
Yeah, just to see if there's something. He likes to poke around, just look at it and just be like, by the way, while you're here at service. And he would he'll get them connected to the service agents. This is where we bridge the gap between BDC sales and service BDC, because now we finally got this big team for service.
Yep.
Yeah. And, we're going to kill it because, my BDC agents will talk to my service BDC agents and be like, hey, can you book an appointment in for this customer? They want to come into service. Can you let me know when they check in? And this way I can go get them. And that's kind of how it started. We kind of was like, hey, they'll be like, yeah, there's a slot available, no problem. BDC service will even transfer the calls back to BDC sales if they heard something. And we're working on some spiffs in there to encourage them more to send those calls over if there was a big service job, and we can use that money to help pay their bill and get them into something newer.
Exactly.
That was, and I think that's big.
Yeah, and by the way, when you have that communication with the both BDC departments, and by the way, for our listeners, they're separate departments, they're in separate buildings. But what
Mhm.
she's saying is that she made the effort to build a relationship with that team and then give them clues as to what are the flags. When a customer says, "Oh, a declined work," for example, when they start navigating declined work calls and they get a flag like, "Yeah, well, it might be just cheaper for me to get into a new car." Flag. I'm gonna let sales BDC know. Yo, I think I got somebody here. Let me make the connection, and that way nothing is getting lost here. This is so outstanding. I literally am just, I feel the fireworks going off here because this
Mhm.
is hard to do. It sounds so simple and everything, but then,
No,
what's in it for them? What's in it for the service BDC to make that transfer to you?
no, absolutely. Right now, honestly, if we've just built a relationship, but future wise, I want it to be money. It's
Yeah.
gonna, we're doing it's
Yeah, me
baby
too.
steps right now, and I
Yeah.
only have one agent that's really doing
Okay.
it. And
Okay.
even my BDC team, when I brought this agent in and he started
Mm-hmm.
working the service drive really harder, they were like, "Wow, he's
Mm-hmm.
not taking any opportunities away from us." I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, he's gaining his own opportunities, and you guys are missing out on them." When
Mm-hmm.
that person calls and you're like, how can I direct your call? Sales service. And they're like, service. Why don't you say hello?
So
Why did
look,
you
for our listeners, this is a moment right here. What she's saying right here, and I hate to cut you off, but I just want to pause for a second because what she's saying is she's not doing the traditional service to sales talk with us right now. She's not saying, "Oh, we dedicated people, we're going after these people, we're doing a hit list, these appointments are coming in, we're going out." She didn't even go there yet. She's
no.
just taking you back to the point A. They call in. The BDC is handling the calls for the dealership, and so when they are calling for service, she's saying that her sales BDC reps are simply asking a couple more questions. They are not compromising the appointment. They are not pushing too hard.
Mhm.
They are literally just saying, "Oh, what kind of cars do you drive? Yeah, what are you bringing it in for?" And start to poke around gently to see if there's a lead here. I want you to know that this process here, nobody in the world does. And when you listen to it, you literally close your eyes in disbelief and you think to yourself, "Damn, I wish I had a guy like that."
Mhm.
And you can train people to do stuff like this. So she's not even going into the full blown service to sales. She's simply saying this guy is just poking around on the. I mean, look, you know how hard. I know it was probably where it started. It's like, "Oh, Robert's calling internet leads. He's banging his head against the wall. He's got lead fatigue. The people don't even answer. When they do, they're like, 'Give me your best price,' and he's like, 'Let me just see if there's an easier one.' Oh, these people are already calling in. Wait a minute, they're already coming to the store. They have an appointment. They're just calling for directions. Tell you they're running late. They're just calling for something," and you're like, "Let me just see." Yeah.
Exactly. And this
Okay.
is just the beginning. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not pressuring any of them yet to do it, but if
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have
Mm-hmm.
to get a couple more people that are willing to poke around on those opportunities,
Yes.
it's
Dial
there.
in.
The
This is a
money is
thing.
there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Dial in. Um, so just lastly, and I could talk to you for days, and I think you've given us a lot here, really. I mean, you've given us a lot to think about, especially for leadership, to rethink the way that they look at their BDC, the way that they look at their team. And now I
Mhm.
have to ask you, um, is there any strategies that you found to be successful? Maybe they were difficult at first, where you were able to nurture the relationship in the store. So, one, you're trying to ensure that the managers understand what the BDC is doing at all times. A lot of times, that's what creates the disconnect. The managers don't understand what they're doing. They don't do the job. They never worked in that department. And then a lot of times, you have salespeople. They onboard new salespeople. If your BDC is like yours and it's in a second floor, it's away from the showroom, if the salespeople don't see you, then they don't think you exist. And so when you bring new people in, it can create even more of a disconnect. But you've managed to keep it all nice and tight, no matter who comes in. So what does it look like for you in maintaining that relationship between the desk and the salespeople in the BDC? How do you maintain that? And then thinking about how you onboard people, how do you continuously train your staff when everybody is just off the charts busy?
I mean, we're always too busy. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
the automotive industry, there's never a second that we're not
Mm-hmm.
busy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Especially when you're doing 450 cars a month.
I mean, one thing for BDC, I try to keep it fun always, the music. I got these new elevating desks, I feel in them
Ooh,
standing
the
up,
risers.
feeling
Yeah.
the vibes.
I like
Um,
that.
Absolutely. And then the consistency with the train, going into the meetings and letting them know what's going on, what's new, what's changed. Shopping our competitors, that has a lot to do with it too. We got to be
Okay.
ahead of it.
Yep.
And at one point, we were always going to our General Suzuki meetings for a whole hour, and they were like, oh, it was long. Sometimes they would just fade away, and I'm like, and then when you came up with these shorter meetings, I was like, oh, well, they kind of dialed in. And recently, I've been the last 2-3 months, I've been doing those 10-15 minute meetings, and
Okay.
we've been reviewing the calls, and not only I do it with we're doing it with management, doing it with BDC.
Okay.
Maybe later on I'll get sales more involved in it too. And it's just like, hey, let's list all the positive stuff during this call that we liked, and then let's like you say, and then we talk about how can we have made it better. What else could have done to get this appointment today or now? What questions could we ask? Having all those questions ready for the customer.
But how do new salespeople meet you? How do they even know who you are? They just meet you guys at a meeting, or do you have them come through the sales department, or what do you?
Yeah,
do the managers come up there? How do people know?
So with onboarding salespeople, I'm all about checklists, right? So I have a whole nice onboarding checklist for sales and for BDC with all the usernames and logins that they're gonna need. And one of the process, they have to come up to me to go get into the CRM to get their little click to call number codes. And that's where they meet the team. And when they meet their team, they get everybody always tells them hey, these are the people you want to know and you want to get to know. And Raul lets them know too.
Who's the
advantage in my team? I'll let you guys know that my VIP team are my closers, my 30% closers. Okay, they get to be in this chat that we all communicate in. And we let them know, hey, how you stay on this chat is by making sure you're closing out your visits, your notes, that you're taking the steps that we need,
following your checklist.
Yeah, following the checklist.
Okay, just hang on. Your VIP closers are salespeople that you trust.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
My VIP salespeople are my closers that close 30% or better. So we want them to be the closers, right?
Yeah.
And most of my team is 30% and better. There's usually 4 or 5 people that might be out. We just want to encourage them, hey, to get their sales up. Yeah. And then you get kicked out of my team, my little chat, if you're not putting your notes in.
Okay, P.S. And the reason why you want to be in your chat is because you're assigning salespeople to appointments.
Yes,
okay, exactly. I feel you.
We're assigning them to appointments. So, you want to stay following the process, making sure you have a switch card, making sure that you're calling them the next day. And with our appointments, we want them to be ready up front. I hate for the front desk to call me and be like, hey, I had an appointment assigned and I don't know what your salesperson is. You're out. You'll be out my chat. That's not how you get in
the corner.
Yeah. And I like to see them come back. I make them do their overdues. You want them to complete their tasks. Like, hey, you want to be in my chat? Stay up to date with your task.
Okay. That's why you're the boss.
Yeah. Make your calls.
This actually is bringing it out first.
If you're not making your calls, you're not going to be in my chat. And that's basically what it is. So everybody wants to, they'll be like, hey, my overdues are done. Can you put me back in the chat? And I'm like, okay.
Love it. Okay. Yes. This is how you build a championship team right here. You have accountability, but there's also incentive, to be on this winning team because you want winners. You could only be on the team if you're winning. And the way you win is when you're following the process. Yeah. Because that makes everybody's life easier.
Absolutely.
Plus you get good CSI this way.
Oh, yeah.
Customers are feeling the vibes. I'm like, I like these people. Plus you're grossing better on these deals.
Yeah. I mean, our reviews speak for it too. I mean, look at our reviews. I mean, we have thousands of reviews. It's not just like 500, 600. We're consistently asking people to let us know about their experience. And we want to, if there's cracks, there's always going to be some people that are not happy, but we're going to show you, try to fix it and
Yeah.
make it, make them happy. We want them to be returning customers.
Mm-hmm. So
And
you commit to training every week with your team. You're doing 10-minute sessions with them. You're doing call evaluation with them. You're going to work on incorporating the salespeople into some of your meetings here in the near future. This is great. And that new people have to come in to get all their check-ins or logins. But I'm just wondering, do you teach them how to use the CRM? I always think that that's the best way to get salespeople to use the CRM is for the BDC to teach them.
Yes. Yeah,
You do.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like them to come in. I will show
Do they
them.
work in the BDC?
Yes. Yeah, we have
How
2 to
long?
3 salespeople, because I have 10 people there, but clearly people are always off, right? I at least have 3 people
Oh, so
off.
you have like guests.
So I always have like 2 or 3 salespeople in the room as well. And that's a
Oh.
good way for them to get connected too, to an
Oh.
appointment. They'll hear somebody on the phone and they'll be like, oh, well, by the way, I have a blue one that they might like as well. And the agent will be like, okay, that's
Mhm.
great. Well, you go get those keys ready. This person's coming in at 1.
Mhm.
And while they're in our room,
Mm.
I'll let them know, like, hey, can you do me a fun video? And they'll be like, well, how do I send it? And this is where the teaching comes in. And you'll be like, okay, well, this is what you're going to do. When I assign a customer to you, you're going to go send me a picture of the car, the keys, let them know that, that it's here waiting for them, just to try to secure that appointment.
Yeah.
And then I like to show them, how to complete the task or how to look at the service drive people and the years and makes and models.
Oh, so you're going to teach them a little prospecting stuff while they're up there.
Yeah, yes. Why not?
At the end of the
day, we're a team. My 10 agents we have thousands of opportunities. I mean, if you know Raul Gamila, he advertises and we get opportunities. So now it's just about getting connected and staying connected and showing them that, we're here to help them and getting them in the door.
Okay, this is making all the sense. I want you to know how much I appreciate you and your time and your expertise today. You have given us a lot to think about. I just, I mean this. I deal with hundreds of stores in the year. I deal with thousands of salespeople in the course of a year, thousands of managers, thousands of people. I love City Kia. I say it all the time. I love the leadership. I love Raul. I love you. I love everyone here. And a lot of the salespeople I'm still connected to because I love what they're doing. They're challenging themselves, but with this kind of leadership, that really sets a benchmark for championships, winning championships. Everything that unfolds is really top shelf. I mean, it's not only high expectations. I know it's a lot of pressure, but when you have camaraderie, that's the thing. It's like when Raul came on board, it wasn't like anybody left. He had to adopt a whole new team and get them on board with a completely, new process. And when he brought me in, that was part of the new process. And it rubs people the wrong way when they got to change. But you guys have continuously adapted, modified, and continued to keep new people coming in as a part of this business model. It's encouraging. It's exciting. And I wish we could replicate it, but we don't have strong players that understand these things or were willing to do these things and willing to take these sort of risks that Raul was willing to do. And then it trickled down to everybody else too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely about the consistency, training. Raul talks to us every day. We have meetings every day. He's training us and educating us all the times on all these different things that he did. Like he will get on the phone. He would role play with us. And I love to see that. That just makes me so happy. That's what makes me so happy here at City Kia is how we work as a team, man. I'm telling you, it's really hard to get dealerships. I worked at a couple of dealerships, because I worked for some groups and then they used to like send me here and send me there. And it's the communication between the BDC and the sales for sure.
I hear you, sis. I hear you loud and clear. And I want everybody to hear it loud and clear too, because it's communications. That's the name of the game. It's consistency. But it's a lot of it is leadership. And I love how you ended this really to share some intel on your general manager and what he's willing to do, because your desk managers did an episode with me previously. So for our listeners, if you listen to that is exactly what they said. He teaches us every day.
every day. There's
You
always
don't
something
just
new
say,
to learn.
hit the goal. This is how you hit the goal.
Yes, exactly. He'll switch it up. There's always, and there's benchmarks, and then
I love
now
this
it's like
guy.
keeping it all together. We're like, all right, we got to hit all the check marks. So like, we're gonna do this 48-month hunt, so we're gonna have a switch car ready. We're gonna offer them the buckets. It's all around, like with F&I. You know, let's not forget about F&I. They're a big part of our team as well. They come out at the desk, they pencil. You know, they're just not just signing paperwork and sending paperwork in. No. We here at City Kia with Raul, he put everyone to work together for sure. And we all know each other's jobs. Like if somebody's out, somebody else is in to help fill in.
Yeah, and I think probably over COVID, that was a thing where you cross train, so people can do other people's jobs. Yeah, that keeps everything nice and seamless. Excellent. I mean, you just keep throwing gold at us. Throwing gold at us. Well, thank you once again, Jessica. Really, really, you put a lot of gold out there for anybody who's willing to listen. And I feel like this is one of those episodes that people have to listen to more than once and really absorb what you're saying. But thank you. Thank you for your hard work, your effort. You're always willing to try something new. I always appreciate your hustle. And most importantly, like, I love that you are so supportive of your team, regardless of who that is. It's just anybody there. Like, you want to fight the fight with everybody. You want to make everything work, and you're fighting for Raul and his goals and his initiatives, and you're just a true team player and a true leader.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me.
If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1-hour, once-a-week class with me alongside other dealerships, all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop. This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!